Okay guys, so this is going to be an updated version of my pattern, the Belle dress, summer dress pattern. Okay, so now we're going to start off. For this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make the top, and maybe the next video I'll show you how to make the dress, or if I can combine the two of them together in one video. Okay, so for the top, for the front bodice, you're going to need 2 pieces of it, so which is going to be the main fabric as well as the lining. I do recommend you use the same fabric for the main fabric and as well as the lining, but if you can't, it's also fine. All right, so now that that is done, I'm going to take one away first because I also need to transfer the darts, and let me press this first. Okay, so now that I've pressed the paper, I need to transfer the darts. So we're going to transfer the waist darts as well as the side darts. Okay, now for this, I'm going to first of all just cut open the darts. Okay, then I'll fold it. So now that that has been folded, I'm going to place this at the edge right here. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're doing this on the wrong side of your fabric. Okay, so this one right here is kind of hard to tell which is the right or the wrong, so I'm just going to choose wherever, and I'm just going to trace out the darts. Okay, now I'm also going to do the same thing for the side. Alright, so now that that has been traced, it's barely visible on here, but here is the traced darts. Okay, from here all the way here, curved here, and side darts. Okay, let me zoom in so you could see hopefully clearly. Still barely visible, but it's fine. Okay, so now I'm also going to repeat the same step to the other side. Okay, so now that that is done, I am then going to create the dart. Now I'm going to do that by placing the pins where the dart marks are. Now do the same thing here. Now I'm also going to repeat the same step for the waist darts. So now that that has been done, you can visibly see where the dart is going to be at, right? So now I'm just going to connect them like so. It makes it easier. Okay, so now that I have pinned everything, this is what you'll have. Alright, so you go ahead to sew this up as well as sew the side seam. Alright, I'm also going to repeat the same step to the other side or the lining of the fabric as well. So now that I've gone ahead to sew the side seam, what I'm going to do is to just press the darts. I'm going to press the waist darts to the side seam, facing the side seam. I'm going to press the bust dart facing downwards. So you could choose to press it however you want, but that's what I just prefer to do. Now that that is done, I'm going to keep this aside. Okay, so now for the tie at the back, you're going to want 2 pieces of it. Okay, then you're going to have right sides facing each other like so. Then you are going to pin. Okay, now when you're sewing, you're going to sew from here, go here, sew all the way here, while leaving the armhole area and the side seam open. Repeat the same step to the other side of the tie as well, then we'll be right back. Then I am going to take the waist strap, flip it, and have it right side facing. When you do that, you want to make sure you pull the edges. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm just going to press this as well. So now that I have pressed this is what I have. I'm going to do the same thing to the other tie. Okay, so now that I have pressed this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the waistband between the main fabric of the front bodice and the lining. So that's basically going to have it sandwiched between them. Okay, like so. Repeat the same step to the other side. Then I'm going to have this. So basically you're going to have the right side of the main fabric and the lining facing while the strap is between. Alright, then I'm going to pin it down. If you do it correctly, you're supposed to have a space here about half an inch at the waistline of the bodice, so that's where you attach the gathered or the lower part of the dress or the lower part of the top to it. Okay, and I'll pin. Also, when you are doing this, you want to make sure that you are not accidentally sewing the back armhole of the bodice to the rest. Okay, so you want to make sure that that is tucked away. Okay, now that I've pinned everything, I'm going to go ahead to sew from here all the way to this place. Here. When sewing, you want to make sure that for the armhole of the back bodice, which is going to be the tie at the back, you are not sewing it to this. Okay, so now that I've gone to sew, so what I did was to sew the sides and the top, and I left the armhole side open. Okay, so I'm just going to flip this to have the right sides facing, so it will look like this. Okay, so now I'm just going to press this. Okay, so now it's time for the tiered part of the top. So now this is the back. Back is slightly different from the front in the sense that the back needs to have a casing for your elastic band and the front doesn't. So you can see that the back is slightly longer than the front. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the back and I'm going to fold it inwards. But before I do that, I need to go ahead to serge this, then I'll be right back. Okay, so the casing measurement is a total of 1.25 inches. Okay, so now whatever you do, you're going to put that into consideration. So what that means is you fold this first using 1/4 of an inch, then fold again using 1/2 an inch, so you get to this line right here. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you what that means on the fabric. So since I already serged it, it's going to the serged hem is going to help be a guide for the 0.25 inch. So I'm going to fold that inwards like so, and I will fold it again by 1/2 an inch. I'm basically eyeballing this because I kind of know where I want it to be. Then I'm going to pin that down. I'm going to repeat the step all the way to the other end of the back piece. Okay, so now that I have pinned that down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew from here all the way to this place to have the casing, create the casing for your elastic band. Okay, now for the front of it, all you just need to do is to create a basting stitch or a gathering stitch at the top here, so you can gather it to the measurement of the bodice itself. So this right here is the bodice, so you want to make sure you gather all these front bodice here. Okay, so I'm going to create the basting stitch and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I've gone ahead to create the basting stitch, I only created one thread stitch, but if you want you can create two. All right, so now I'm going to then pull together to the measurements of the, I'm trying to find the center first. This is the center right here, because that center needs to align with the center of the top. Okay, so I mark that, so I'm just going to gather. I'm just going to gather this to the measurements of the top. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure you leave about 1/2 an inch for the seam allowance where you're going to stitch the front and the back together. I've marked that right there. So now whatever I'm going to do is going to start from here. Okay, so gathering, okay, part has gathered. All right, so now it's time for me to do the same to the other side. Before I do, I'm going to mark 1/2 an inch from the edge right there. Okay, I've also gathered it right here. So now I'm just going to evenly distribute the gathers, but before I do it, I'm going to tie the thread so that this does not come undone. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm going to first of all press this before I then sew it up to the bodice. Now that that is done, I can then have right sides facing each other. Then I'll pin and sew. making sure you're leaving about half an inch of a space here. Okay, let me bring this close. Okay, you want to make sure you're leaving about half an right for the seam allowance to attach back to the front. Okay, then you pin the rest down. So now let's go to the sewing machine. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew the bottom part to the top of the bodice. So now I'm just going to press this. I'm going to have the seam facing upwards before I press. Then I'm just going to press this. For the back, this is what you have. So what you want to do is to insert your elastic band. So in order for you to get the measurement of the elastic, what you need to do is to put the elastic band around your waist and divide that by 2. So that was what I did for mine, and this is what I got. I'm just going to insert this using my loop turner, and the elastic band needs to be about 1/4 of an inch wide. If you want it to be a wider elastic band, you need to accommodate for that in the measurements of the seam. I need to pin the edge first before I bring out the remaining elastic band so it does not sew inside. Okay, so this is what I have. So now it is time for us then attach that to the main bodice itself. Alright, so what I'm going to do is to have the right side facing each other like so. You're going to attach this at the side seam like so, then pin. Okay, so now that I have pinned, I'm going to go sew from here to the hem. Once I'm done doing that, I'm going to serge the hem, then fold it inwards by half an inch. You decide to fold it twice if you want a shorter hem, but I don't want it to be too short, so I'm just going to fold it inwards after serging the hem by about half an inch, and I'm going to hem it. Alright, so now for the sleeves, this is what you have. So I went ahead to serge the top first. Then I'm going to fold it. You can see where the straight line stops at. You're going to want to fold all the way to that and repeat the same step to this side. Okay, then you can pin the rest down. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're doing it with wrong sides facing each other. Alright, so now that that is done, next is to create our casing here. So if you've done it correctly, you should have notches at the edge here, right? So I'm going to flip this so that I have the right sides facing upwards. Then I'm just going to find the notches and pin them together, making sure they are aligned. Then I'll pin. And I'll repeat the same step to this side. Okay, now that that is done, I'm then going to pin the rest down. So once you're done pinning everything down, this is what you should have. Then you go ahead to sew from here to this place, using about 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. And once you do that, you then open it up, iron it, having the excess fabric facing towards the top of the sleeves. Then you top stitch very close to the edge, and that way you create your elastic band casing. Okay, so then you do the same thing to the other side of the sleeve. Okay, so this is the sleeve. I've gone ahead to create the casing. Like I showed you initially, what you need to do is to take the excess fabric, have it facing towards the top of the sleeve, and then closely stitch to the ends right here. Okay, closely stitch here, as you can see. Now for the top itself, what I did was to go ahead to sew the seam allowance to the back right here. You can see you want to sew it to the back right here, so that way it prevents it from moving around, right, when you wear it. So now for these, I'm going to go ahead to insert the elastic band. So I've gone ahead to take the measurement from my arm. I just put it on my arm right here and took the measurements. Then I'm just going to insert this here. Okay, now that that is done, I'm just going to stretch this out so this ruching is evenly distributed like so. Now I'm also going to do the same for the top right here. For the top, I took the measurements, basically 7 inches. So another thing you can do is to fold this into 2 equal parts, then take the measurement of whatever you want and subtract like a few inches from it. So for my case, I subtracted about 1.75 inches from it. Okay, and that is it. So now I'm just going to insert this one to the casing at the top. Okay, now that that is done, this is what I have for my sleeve. All right, so now what I'm going to do is to have it right sides facing each other like so. Then I'm going to pin that down. So from here all the way to the hem. After doing that, I'm going to serge the hem. Then I'm also going to fold it upwards, having wrong sides facing and sew. So at this point, you can also determine the amount of seam you want for yourself. I left that freeway for you. However, for the pattern itself, it calls for a 1 inch hemming allowance, okay? But if you don't want it to be the 1 inch, you can make it half an inch, you can make it a quarter of an inch. Totally depends on how long or how short you want the hem to be, or how short or how long you want the sleeves to be. Okay, so now I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Then the next step is for us to attach the sleeves to the bodice. So I'm gonna head to hem the top, as you can see. Now I've also gone ahead to hem the sleeve as well. So now it's time for us to attach the sleeve to the bodice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it having right sides outside like so. Then having right sides facing each other, I'm going to place the sleeve as well as the bodice together at the armhole area. So first of all, I'm going to pin the side seam in place, making it easier for me to pin the rest down. Then I pin the rest down in place. Okay, so now that I have pinned it, this is what I have. So I'm just going to sew from one end to the other end. I will serge it and my top is basically done. Okay, and I'll do the same step to the other side of the sleeve. So now for the final step, you'd want to stitch the seam allowance to the sleeve. As you can see here, the seam allowance has been stitched to the sleeve. You want to do that and your top is ready. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching, and in the next clip you'll see the final result, and I hope you like it, and see you guys in the next video.
I used to get so insecure with you, it's different. Yeah, just something about you makes me so sure. Don't know what it is, but you make me wanna stay. Take a leap of faith. I know that you're safe, I know that you're safe. You'll be my parachute, baby, know you'll catch me whenever I fall. It's like my laces untied.